Thank you, Joe. That was wonderful. That was delightful. We're going to close with Greg Brownderville. Greg, like Joe, is from the Delta, another Southern voice. He's from Pumpkin Bend. Anybody been to Pumpkin Bend? It's in Woodruff County, halfway between Augusta and Wynne. Y'all know where that is. It's near McCrory. He won the Porter Prize Annual Award in 2007 and narrated our film Encouragement for the Young Writer, which has been on AETN. He's published 3 books of poems, and in 2011, Northwest University Press published his collection of poems called Gus, which made the Poetry Foundation bestseller list and selected as one of the top picks by the Library Journal. He wrote a libretto for the concert piece entitled Ripple in the Sky, which was performed at the Los Angeles Philharmonic and at the Kennedy Center. He's without question one of the finest young poets in America, and he's a real Arkansasier. He's now teaching at SMU, where he's on the faculty and is editor of the Southwest Review. It's my pleasure to give you Greg Brownderville.
Thanks to Phil for that kind introduction. I tell you, Jo McDougall, she's something, isn't she? It's an honor to share the stage with her on any night, but particularly on this night. I was a fan of Jo's work long before I met her, and I teach her work regularly to the delight and edification of my students at SMU. And you know, it's not always the case that when you meet a writer whose work you've admired, that you find that the person is someone who also commands your admiration. But when I met Jo, I thought, here's one of those happy instances in which you love the woman as much as you love the work, because she's such a wonderful human being, and everybody who's ever crossed paths with her knows that. This is a chance for me to just say thank you to Philip McMath, Carol, Jack Butler, an old friend of mine, all the Porterites. When I won this thing back in 2007, I was just sitting out there in Pumpkin Bend, Arkansas, in a chair that my great-grandpa had handed down to me, writing poems in what I thought was absolute obscurity. And it was hard to imagine that anybody was reading them, much less appreciating them. And when I found out that this truly distinguished body of writers had paid attention to what I'd done and wanted to give me an award, it was a huge boost to my career and just to my soul. And I want to take this opportunity to say thank y'all. I never met Ben Kemple, but I had the great good fortune of studying under Johnny Wink, who was one of his proteges. Johnny teaches at Ouachita Baptist, where I went to undergrad. And then in grad school at Ole Miss, I studied under Barry Hanna, who was another former student of Ben's. And of course, Jack is a former student of Ben's. And every single former student of Ben Kemple's I've ever known has just sung his praises. I remember I asked Barry one time, who wasn't a very teacherly kind of guy. I said, you know, strange, Barry. Everybody thinks he used this motorcycle riding, you know, cussing Southern renegade writer, and here you are, a lifelong academic. What do you get out of teaching? Do you like it? He said, Greg, when I go to my classes and I'm with my students, it's a joy. But then I go to my office and get on that damn computer, and it is so much email. And email, and I was like, what adjective is he going to use to describe email? Email, it's unmanly, which wasn't the one I was expecting. But then he said, and he didn't know that I knew about the legend of Ben Kemple. I don't guess he knew that I knew anything about Ben, but he said, if I, as a teacher, can be half the professor that Ben Kemple was, I feel like I've I'm satisfied with my career as a teacher. And so it's also an honor to be associated with a literary prize named, not after Ben Kemple because he was so modest, but after his mother. When Phil asked me to present tonight something from my recent work, I thought, well, Jo has been an inspiration to me. And one thing I love about her, she mentioned tonight that she wants to help folks connect with poetry. Poetry doesn't have as large a readership as we poets might wish. And one thing I've admired about Jo is that she's always been open to the possibility of poetry's interacting with mediums that we don't normally associate with poetry, like film and theater. And partly because of her example, my recent work has really gone in that direction. I'm working on a project called Firebones, and if you're curious about this, we have a website that's firebones.org, and you can sign up for an email list, and we'll let you know when this thing gets launched. But I'm creating this with a team that I've put together in Dallas, some great folks I'm working with. We're creating this new storytelling platform that brings together poetry and film and podcasting and music and photography, but principally podcasting and film. And what this thing is, we're calling it a Go Show. That's the name of the platform. This particular Go Show is called Firebones. It's for mobile devices, and it uses podcasts and videos to tell one story. It's like a serialized narrative told episodically. And that interaction between the podcast and film is what we're primarily interested in. The story is about a Lebanese American in the Delta. As some of you may know, there's a Lebanese American demographic in the Delta. Lebanese folks started coming to the Delta like in the 1880s. And if you're ever in Clarksdale, Mississippi, there's a great barbecue place called Abe's that's owned and run by a fellow named Pat Davis, who's a Lebanese American. Our main character is this woman, this is fictional, named Amra Bustani. She's a Lebanese American crop duster and also a Pentecostal preacher. And sometimes you have to work more than one job in the Delta, make ends meet. And she's so good at flying those turboprop aircrafts that there's this manufacturer of those planes over in Memphis called Skytractor. This is fictional, but that hires her to do ferry flights for them. And this really does happen. I know a guy in Texas who does this for a living, but sometimes the manufacturer of a crop duster style plane will have a buyer overseas and will pay a pilot to fly that thing over the ocean to deliver it to the buyer. And Amra was doing a ferry flight into the Middle East, and she disappeared. And nobody knows what became of her. They can't find the plane. They can't find her. And what I want to do tonight is play you a short excerpt from a podcast and then a short excerpt from a video so you can see how the podcasting and the videos interact. And we'll be hearing from Amra's daughter, a character named Gobody, who will tell her story and the story of her connection with Amra. She was adopted by Amra Bustani. Okay, we're ready.
When I was itty bitty, maybe 5 or 6 year old, my mother said to me, she said, "Get this through your thick noggin. You are a nobody, just like your father and me. And that's a good thing. We aren't the kind of people that go around trying to stand out or be noticed." Is Mother making herself clear? With my 5-year-old mouth prowess, I tried to take up for myself, but Dad sterned in and said, "You heard your mother, little nobody. End of discussion. Now go make yourself useful and iron the napkins." And that's how the world's worst nickname was born. Nobody. Can you imagine? The year I turned 15, my parents put me in a special wing of the nursing home called the Unit, reserved for the mentally ill. It was downright miserable in there. I had to tell myself, "Nobody, you ain't crazy. You ain't, no matter what anybody says." The first time I tried to escape, they caught me. But the second time, listen here, pilgrim. I got free and hopped a train. I didn't know the first dang thing about riding a rail. There I was, a few minutes in, ripping up my shirt to make earplugs to keep from losing my full hearing from all the screeching and rattling and hissing. You talk about loud. You talk about loud. Now that was loud. I didn't know how hard it is to sleep on bug-infested rotten wood in a gondola clickety-clacking across the third largest country in the world. It was rough going. Don't let me lie. Don't even let me lie. But that first night, that first chugga, I felt something inside like my heart was being tickled. When the train took to rattling, I felt like my body was laughing, like if my bones was giggling. They were shaking happy. My mind's mind said, zoom, zoom into the great American dark. Me and the stars, we was in beautiful cahoots. Me and the wind, we was French kissing. I stole away on a midnight train to somewhere nowhere. The train was the night. I'd done crawled down into a grainer, through a hole like a giant snake mouth. And Pilgrim, I decided right then, from here on out, my name shall never be nobody. From here on in, my name shall be Go Body. And that's who I am to this day. The train took me south to the Delta, and that's where I met Amra. She took me in, let me live in her guest room. She introduced me to folks, kept me fed, homeschooled me. She called me her daughter. I remember one day we were leaned over in her garden, picking strawberries for the church folk. Let me tell you, that's some work. I mean hard work. Your back muscles will let you know about it too. After a while, we stood up straight to stretch and give our backs a break. Amra, she looked over at me with those mysterious, bright black eyes of hers. She smiled just as sweet and said, Go Body, you know what? I love you with all my me. I love you with all my me. That's just about the finest thing I ever did hear. She was the sayer of all my favorite saids.
Now the video.
Please tell me what happened, Mr. Sky Tractor.
Well, you see, Go Buddy, here at Sky Tractor, we manufacture affordable fighter planes for militaries who cannot afford jets or simply do not require them. Your unreliable mother was flying our latest weaponized turboprop craft, a ferociously beautiful rig we call the Dark Angel.
Will I ever see her again, Mr. Sky Tractor? I want to find her, or find out what happened to her, where she is, if she's still alive. Plus, too, it's lonesome in here.
And where, young lady?
In my life. In this story.
All right, that's it. This will be primarily experienced on mobile phones, on people's phones. All right, so now we're going to go off script a little bit for a special presentation that Hope Coulter will make.
Shirley Abbott was an Arkansas writer who won the Porter Prize in 2005. She died a few weeks ago. In her novel, The Future of Love, our much admired fellow prize winner, Ms. Abbott wrote this about language. Perhaps there was no organizing principle for the chaos, the irrationality of history, the malign indifference of biology, the inevitability of war. All that she could think of was what, as a young student, she had believed to be the organizing principle of the world: grammar and syntax, iambic pentameter, the rhyme schemes of sonnets, the only reliable, beautiful thing at one's disposal: words. Words that imposed order, syntax that forbade ambiguity, that made things clear. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. Now, many people in this room tonight have committed their lives to the beauty of language, and many here are also appreciative consumers of the works that they create. But certainly no one here has done any more in the service of words and literature than Philip McMath. Philip McMath, a trial lawyer and Vietnam veteran, is the author of 3 novels and 4 full-length plays, as well as numerous shorter works. He produced a film documentary about the prize called Encouragement for the Young Writer, which appeared on Arkansas Educational Television Network and at various film festivals. He's a past president of the Arkansas Literary Society, whose motto was, "We have yet to have a tea," a member of the College of Fine Arts and Communication Advisory Committee for the University of Central Arkansas, and a member of the National Association of Scholars. In 2009, McMath was inducted into the Arkansas Writers Hall of Fame, and he became a member of the Dramatists Guild of America in 2016. Before all of this, as you've heard, Philip co-founded the Porter Prize for Literary Excellence back in 1984, an act that was to shape his life, not least by costing him untold hours of labor in ways that he could not have foreseen. So after his co-founder moved out of state, Philip shouldered the duty of running this prize by himself. He has carried this commitment capably, steadily, and self-effacingly, taking time from his law practice and from his own productive, prolific writing in order to lift up other Arkansas writers for many years. His very humility and efficiency have definitely kept him from winning the Porter Prize, because the past winners who serve on the selection committee know that he would never toil away on behalf of the prize event if he himself were the winner, and the board can't figure out how to run the thing for even one season without him. Tonight, the one thing we have managed to do without Phil's knowledge is to recognize and honor him here. Philip, would you please come forward?
Thank you.
So I'll read the citation. For Philip H. McMath, novelist, playwright, historian, and general champion of Arkansas letters, with deepest gratitude for 35 years of selfless effort on behalf of the Porter Prize Fund. Signed, the Porter Prize Board of Directors, June 20th, 2019.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And we're not quite done.
No,
There's
come
one
on.
more thing. The Porter Prize Board has voted to donate $5,000 to the Philip H. McMath Post-Publication Book Award, which is an award already established that honors Philip's contributions to the Arkansas literary community and to outstanding works by emerging writers. This award was established in 2015 at the University of Central Arkansas. So President Houston Davis from UCA and Dr. Stephanie Vanderslice are with us tonight. We're very happy that they are receiving this addition to the Philip H. Math Post-Publication Book Award in Philip's honor. Thank you again for all that you do.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm deeply honored and totally surprised, and this is the finest award I've ever gotten. Thank you so much. It means a great deal to me. But I have to let you in on a secret. Jack Butler and I founded this so we didn't have an excuse for not winning it. I'm glad you mentioned Shirley Abbott, who was one of the finest American writers I ever knew. This concludes our evening. I'm supposed to tell you that these vases are for sale. These James Hayes vases are for sale. You can make a contribution of $100 and have one. We'll take your check, your credit card, stamps, or we'll bill you. And there's a book being given away as a gift. Thank you for coming. It's a lovely evening, and I'm deeply appreciative of this award. Thank you.